What's up everyone, here's another video of Predator lore for 1 hour. It contains more recent stories I covered, all in one video. I will also include timestamps, so let's get started. Our story begins within a complex in the Nevada desert. It's a location where they conduct experiments and tests. A man is seen running inside an enclosed area. It's got changes to the atmosphere, which are meant to accommodate something else. But on a human, these effects can lead to choking and respiratory trauma. They have cameras set up around this area. They track the man's movements, and up on a tree, there's a predator. It's watching, planning when to attack. This hunter would leap down and swipe at the human in front of him. It appears like he's going soft on his prey, but really, he might just be bored and wants to play around a bit. The man would lean against the window, pleading for help, but everyone inside just watches and waits. And shortly after, the predator shows up and takes down his prey, which also appeared to be unarmed. After this, the science team would maintain normal surveillance on the creature. This demonstration was arranged for someone named Mr. Falconer, and despite the outcome, there were still some security concerns about this operation. What they recreated here is what they believe to be the creature's natural habitat inside the biodome, a hot and humid tropical climate, an atmosphere with high methane content. They believe this creature is part of a predatory species. They think it lives to hunt. They first tried providing it with livestock, but it was not enough. No, this creature prefers something more lively to hunt. One man says he encountered their kind in '84 when he ran a Contra training camp. His entire commando team was wiped out by just one of these creatures. In over 30 documented encounters, nobody has ever captured one alive until now. They were able to capture one before it utilized its last line of defense. They severed its arm, which contained the self-destruct device. It appears to be inactive, but they suspect any attempt to disassemble it may set it off. Their technology is astounding, but the lead scientist here is not really interested in the hardware. He wants to make contact with these creatures, to learn from them, to communicate with them as one intelligent species to another. This might be a long time before it happens, but he believes the creature will eventually respond when it realizes it has no other choice or chance of escape. But there could be a problem, since there might be a few security risks, such as total system blackouts with the video cameras and motion trackers, the recorded pressure drops in atmospheric integrity, suggesting unauthorized entrance or exit from the dome. This could suggest that creature already has escaped, that it could walk out here anytime it wants. It could actually be studying the humans, and it chooses to stay for some reason. There's a huge risk keeping this thing caged up like an animal. They are smart and could be smarter than us. It's a hunter. It's patient. It knows how to bide its time and study its prey. It could be studying the humans and this enclosure, and testing the limits of your defenses. If Mr. Stern plays around too much, this whole operation could be ruined in some way. And suddenly, they get another systems crash, 50% blackout on all surveillance ops inside the dome. Bioimplant monitors are offline. When the biomonitors come back online, it's reading flat lines across the board. Pulse, respiration, and heartbeat are all reading nil. A security team is then assembled. They can only use non-lethal weapons, like tasers and stun prods. They cannot use sidearms in a pressurized environment. And also, they need to consider the dollar value of keeping the specimen alive. The colonel would advise them on waiting until the monitors are back online, as they don't know what his men are walking into. The creature could be playing possum, but if they wait, they might not have time to revive the body, but still, they are sent in. When the team finds the body, it's reading a flatline, but just then, they get a heartbeat. It's still alive. The team is told to get out right away. The specimen bioreadings are off the scale. It is very much alive. It rises from the water and attacks one man. Then it throws a spear-like object to another man. The others would then set their taser units to full charge. They have orders to pacify the creature. They aim at the creature, but end up tasing one of their members. Palliser pulls out a firearm, aims at the creature, but is told not to fire. Palliser ignores that command and fires anyways, resulting in an explosion taking out multiple soldiers with him. Koenig is told to use a dart gun. There's enough toxin in those darts to bring down even that thing, but before he can use it, the creature attacks him. The colonel would call in for reinforcements. A special forces unit is already on the way. He tries to take control of the situation. He says Mr. Stern was allowed to have this operation, only for them to see how far Stern would take it. Mr. Stern would not allow anyone to stop his scientific work, not after they achieved so much. He smashes the canister over the colonel's head and pulls out the severed hand. From there, Mr. Stern would attempt at fixing up this big mess, but he's got to move fast, as the Special Forces unit will arrive in 12 minutes. Mr. Stern would locate Sherman, who remained at his post, despite everything that happened. Sherman tells him the specimen is back in the dome. He is relieved of duty as Mr. Stern takes over from here, and he gets rid of Sherman. As the choppers get closer, they lose contact with their agent on the ground and assume the LZ is hot. It's now a free fire zone. Anything still living down there must be a viable and hostile target. As he enters the area where the predator is held captive, Stern realizes the truth. Faulkner was right. This creature could have escaped at any time, but it chose to stay. There was something it wanted. It was the severed arm with the wrist gauntlet. He holds onto it as he makes contact with the predator. The creature would strike at him right away, breaking the canister around Mr. Stern's head. He's starting to get affected by the change in atmosphere. He begins to panic and runs off. But the hunter chases after him and catches up. Stern would grab a dart weapon, fire, and it lands on the creature. It reaches out for Stern's arm and rips it off. Now they are even. Stern would question why the creature is still alive. The toxin was biospecific for his blood chemistry. The creature would then press buttons on the gauntlet. This would activate the self-destruct device. The last thing it says is mimicking what Stern said earlier. Know you've won. Come and get your prize. As the chopper gets closer to the complex, the bomb goes off, destroying the entire site, along with the choppers. The explosion was seen as far away as California. The cause was said to be an accident. The complex was owned by the Stern Industries. There were no survivors, and Tyler Stern is believed to have been amongst the many casualties. A government investigation would look into the cause of the accident. And that was the story of Predator Captive, released in 1998 by Dark Horse Comics. The Speargun is a weapon used by the Predator species. Throughout different sources, this weapon has changed in design and what projectile it fires. The first movie was supposed to have a speargun, kind of. Some early art pieces of the Predator had shown the hunter firing something from its arm, but when they were filming some scenes with the red suit, they changed it to firing a spinning, bladed object. And during the final version, Blaine gets hit by a bladed object that looks like a spear tip. This was different when compared to early designs, and this dates back to 1987. The second movie would feature a spear tip being fired from the gauntlet. These objects were smaller in size. If you look closely, you can see the open slot where the spear tip fires out of. And over the years, when the speargun appeared in other sources, like video games, we can see that in 1999 and in 2001, the AVP games on PC had their own variation of the speargun. One would fire giant spears, and the other fired smaller tips. In 2003, Aliens vs. Predator Extinction was released. This weapon was used by the Stalker Predator for long-range combat. It's held with two hands because it's large and long. This weapon was also seen in the 2005 game Predator Concrete Jungle, but the design was changed. It was now a smaller firearm that was held with one hand. So here's the thing that I want to know. Where did the original design of the Speargun actually come from? Well, during the years of 1989, 1991, and 1996, there were 3 comic book stories about Dutch's brother. His name was John Schaefer. His original story arc was around 3 encounters with predators, while he searched for information about Dutch. But it was the second story, which took place in Siberia, where we learned something about the predator weapons. You can see that some predators have a weapon with multiple bladed edges on the end of it. This seems to look much different than the normal combat stick or spear that some predators are known to use. It's later shown in the story that this weapon is held with both hands but aimed in front of the target, almost like a firearm or a long-range weapon. A human is then shown stepping on a trap, which activates a very large device around him, impaling him with spikes as it wraps around his body. Right after this, we get confirmation that the handheld weapon we saw earlier can fire the spears that it holds inside. This story dates back to 1991, when the Cold War comic book was released, which is 8 years before the first AVP game was released on PC in 1999, which also features a speargun weapon. So I think this could be the earliest sighting of a speargun type of weapon before it was shown in the video games. It's possible that this inspired the final design of the speargun that we now see in video games. What happened before the story of Predator Badlands? The comic book shows what happens before the events of the movie. The story opens with 2 alien creatures talking into a camera, which also connects to the ship's AI. The ship would translate their language from Koshoric, and its mission is to watch over the crew until they reach a specific planet. The crew and the ship's AI would become friends. But things don't go as planned. The ship gets damaged by asteroid debris and is forced to land on a nearby planet. The crew would head to the cryotubes and send out a distress signal. The ship enters hibernation mode to conserve power. Now 10,000 years later, on the moon of Pelkonen 4, we see Dek and Quay have found the ship. Dek was given a task by his father to retrieve something from the ship, but he says this task is for a child and he should be hunting, but he must obey his father. Dek feels like his father does not see his worth. He's ready to be blooded, but Quay tells him, "You still have much to learn. Be patient, you will earn your cloak." Until then, Dek has to obey his father's command. Quay would circle back for his brother later on, so for now, Dek goes in alone to see what's inside the ship. As Dek gets closer, the ship would exit hibernation mode and get an incoming transmission. It says the warning source is unknown. Searching database for Yautja. When it completes the threat assessment, it starts looking at the local flora and fauna for potential countermeasures. It also starts constructing Yautja defenses, which looks like some type of robot. As Dek enters the ship, he pulls a hologram of the object he's looking for, but right away he's attacked from behind. Dek would jump behind cover and look back, but he cannot see the target, so he misses the shot from his bow. Dek says he does not need his helmet to hunt such unworthy prey. He takes it off, then fires another arrow and takes down the robot and roars in victory. As Dek proceeds further inside, he's approaching the cryotubes of the crew. The threat level is raised, so the ship activates a pheromone gas upon Dek, which would cause these bugs to be attracted to Dek's body and start cutting him up. So many of them cover his body, he's able to get away by using a plasma grappling hook and fires back down towards the pack of bugs, and they blow up. Dek would be attacked by small robots that fly towards him. He would dodge their incoming fire. He spins his combi stick, takes aim, and throws it. The spear would pierce all targets in one shot. As Dek continues further inside, the ship's computer would activate the Yautja killer. Dek would come across the cryotubes of the crew, but he says they look weak, not worth killing. And just then, a huge arm would swing at Dek, punching him aside. The ship's consciousness then gets downloaded to this massive robot body, the Yautja Killer. Its only objective is to protect the creators against any threat. The power core that Dek is after is inside that robot, so Dek charges full on, ready for combat. But the ship is unable to translate what Dek is saying in the Yautja language. It has no database on the language, so what Dek is saying to it is unclear. The ship's AI would only assume the Yautja is here to destroy the crew, so the two of them would battle. Dek would land an attack on its neck, but he gets hit again and tossed away. The robot says that blow would have killed most life forms, so it then activates another weapon, but Dek is not done. He pulls out his plasma sword and cuts away. The robot would then stand in front of the crew in the cryotubes. It must protect the crew, protect friend. Dek would see this as a weakness. He swings the sword, but the attack hits the heavy armor of the robot's arm. The robot would try another attack, but Dek would dodge it, and this would damage the controls, which would shut down the cryotubes. The robot realizes what it just did and drops the weapon on its right arm. As the bodies of the crew slide out of the tubes, it turns out the life support system degraded over time, and now the crew he was supposed to protect are all gone. He failed in keeping his sacred oath to them. Meanwhile, Dek would remove the power source from the weapon and run off. The device that Dek took could be tracked back to the creator's home planet, so the ship's new objective is to self-destruct, trying to stop the Yautja from taking the creator's technology. As the ship starts to explode, Dek makes it out of the hole, and as he falls, he drops the power source. He would use the plasma sword to slide down the side of the ship. As Quay pulls in to pick up his brother, Dek has to find the power source he dropped, but there's no time. The explosion is still occurring, so they take off together, but without the power source. Dek saved his brother before, so this time, Quay would save him. When Dek returns to his father, Jor would say, "You have failed to bring the item home, as I knew you would." Before Dek can make a promise on his next mission, Jor would grab him by the neck and says to him, "Every breath you still draw brings embarrassment to our clan, Runt. Get out of my sight." As Dek leaves the ship, he makes a vow to himself. "I will be blooded. I will bring honor to the clan. That is my oath." And that is the end of the prequel story, which then continues in the movie Predator Badlands. In the story of Predator Badlands, it puts focus on a small Yautja who has been outcasted by his father, the clan leader. Dek is seen as the runt of the litter. He's looked down upon by others, just because his small size and being blind in one eye. But one member of his clan still has sympathy for him, his brother Quay, who stands tall and strong. There would be a moment early in the story where the two brothers would duel, and after this, Quay would speak to Dek, telling him to choose his target for his first hunt. He chose the legendary Kalisk, a creature that was never defeated. Even their father fears it. But unknown to Dek, his brother was given a mission by their father Jor. Quay was supposed to eliminate Dek, but he chose not to fulfill his mission. Jor would locate the brothers, and seeing how Dek was still alive, he would ask why the mission is not complete. Quay tries to defend his brother, saying that he deserves a chance to hunt. But Jor would not change his mind. He considers Dek to be the weakest member of his clan and wants to get rid of him. He would tell Quay that Dek would only honor his clan in death. Jor would use a small device that would create this kind of chain or shackles of red lasers. These would hold down Dek and force him onto his knees. As Quay would raise his sword, he chose to disobey his father and free Dek. This act of betrayal would not be forgiven by Jor. Quay would fight against his father to give Dek time to escape in the ship. Dek would watch his brother get put down right in front of him. His anger and emotional stress would fuel his mission: find the Kalisk, defeat the creature, and bring home the trophy, to win the respect of the others and take his place in the clan. When Dek arrives on Genna, the Death Planet, He's not sure what to expect. As he continues along with this mission, he must avenge his brother. Along his journey, he would lose his gear and weapons, limiting what he could use, but having his sword for most of the battles. Dek would find the upper body of a synthetic named Thea. He frees her, and she tells him where to find the Kalisk. The two of them would work together as they travel through Genna. Dek and Thea would combine their efforts as they encounter various creatures on Genna. Dek would encounter a small creature that Thea would call Bud. This little being would stick with them and help them in battle. There was a moment in the story when Bud would spit on Dek, making him part of their family or clan. The scent of Bud would stick to Dek. Dek would later learn that Bud is the offspring or the child of the full-grown Kalisk. But at some point, Dek would abandon Bud in the Rocky Mountains. As the creature was sleeping, Dek would walk away. In time, Dek would locate the prey he chose, but this creature towers over him. A similar tale of David versus Goliath, but despite being the smaller one, Dek's courage would push him on. Their battle would be legendary. Even with his small size, Dek was agile, ferocious, and determined. Near the end of the battle, Dek would cut its tail off, only to see the creature can regenerate its limbs and heal its wounds. This data is why the creature was considered unkillable. But despite the odds being against him, Dek would press on. He would manage to cut off the head of the Kalisk. But again, the creature would regenerate, heal, and reattach its head to the body. The battle was not over. The Kalisk would then grab Dek, coming extremely close to him. At this point, Dek's journey should end, but as the Kalisk smells him, the scent of something on his body makes the Kalisk hold back. Dek would carry the scent of the baby Kalisk. That's when Tessa, the twin sister of Thea, would arrive. She stole some of Dek's weapons from his ship that crashed. By using a cryo grenade, she's able to freeze the Kalisk and Dek, taking two bodies back to their base. The unique abilities of the Kalisk would be valuable to the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. The body was transported to the base. But along the way, with the help of Thea, Dek would escape, and later find his way back to his ship. He would mend his wounds and recount the loss of his brother. His mission is not over. He must avenge his brother. Dek would wear bison buffalo armor and use a native snake creature to place on his shoulder, somewhat replacing his missing plasma caster. He would make his way to the base full of synthetics and fight his way through all of them. Dek would confront Tessa, who now took control of a giant robot. The odds are against Dek. He would later find Thea, and their plan was to eventually free the Kalisk creature. The massive beast shows up and it battles against Tessa, who's in the big mech. During this battle, Dek would try to help out by ripping out some cables, wires, and pieces of the mech. It stops functioning mid-battle and the Kalisk would win. The next scene shows the Kalisk is reunited with its offspring. It also has a bonding moment with Dek, but this moment is short-lived as the Kalisk is once again frozen by Thea. Then the body explodes, as Tessa is shown to have taken a plasma caster. This is a weapon that belonged to Dek, but Tessa found it when she found his ship. Tessa would then be defeated by Dek, and he then travels back to Yautja Prime to confront his father, Jor. He returned to claim his cloak. Dek would present the head of Tessa, the one who destroyed the Kalisk, but his father is not impressed. Jor would then command the other predators in the clan to eliminate Dek, but they are quickly beaten by the small Yautja. The final battle is between father and son. Dek proves that it's not only strength that wins a battle, but how smart you can be. Jor would go invisible mid-battle. As Dek has no biomask, he cannot see him, so he turns on the engine of his ship and dust fills the battlefield, revealing where Jor is. Dek would fight with great skill and finds a way to defeat his father. He would win the battle and finally avenge his brother Kuei, the brother who gave his life to save Dek. Bud, who now takes the role of the new Kalisk, is bigger than before. It bites Jor's head off. The final scene shows a Pred ship nearby watching over them. Dek would say, "That is his mother." The scene was only a few seconds, but I think the design of the ship had some features that are almost similar to the ship we saw in the animated movie Killer of Killers. So by the end of the story, I thought it was a great script. It told the story of a Yautja who was outcasted by his own father because he was smaller and considered to be weak and useless within the clan. But after he lost his own brother right in front of him, he set on a mission to avenge him and prove to everyone in his clan that he was strong. During his time on Genna, he would meet Thea and also Bud. He would learn the value of teamwork. The story of Dek shows winning a battle is not always about size and strength, but also it's about your intelligence, your skill, and determination to overcome everything when the odds are against you. So that is the story of Dek and his hunt for the Kalisk on Genna. First hunt, last chance. The story begins in the Wolf Star system. We learn of a planet that was one of the rare treasures of the galaxy, host to an atmosphere and abundant life. Two rival clans were given the opportunity to claim it as their own exclusive hunting grounds. Each clan was led by a brother, and they both were trying to make their father proud. This king would never consider his two sons as equals. One had the strength of an entire hunting party. The other was born small and missing a leg. The king had a weapon that never left his side, a legendary spear that was also a prized hunting trophy, but it had the power to absorb and expel kinetic energy. The spear was passed down to the stronger son, but the one-legged son had demanded this hunt, and so it begins. This hunt will decide who will survive. Honor was at stake, and perhaps the future of the throne. The battle lasted many rotations of the sun. At first, they hunted each other using stealth. But in the end, the older brother's clan was victorious because of the special power of the spear. His father collected the spear during one of the greatest hunts of his life. The hunt lasted for a month on Earth. He brought home many skulls and trophies, but this spear contained power like no other in their arsenal. The younger brother asked for this blood hunt, but he felt it was his only choice, because living in his brother's shadow and his father's disdain was to live in dishonor. When the battle was over, the older brother would humiliate the younger, weaker brother by stripping him of his armor and weapons, tying him to a totem, abandoning him in disgust. This was the chance he wanted, to prove he was stronger and worthier despite his physical disadvantages. But strength came in different forms, so his only choice was to be smarter than his brother. He integrated tech into his body to make him more formidable. Subcutaneous wrist blades was one of many advantages. The story then flips over to Wakanda. Two sides are competing, where the loser takes over the duties of the winner for one full month. If anyone is tagged by the Black Panther, they are removed from the field. The Black Panther would be shown during this scene. He confronts Okoye, but his armor is then disabled by Shuri, hoping this encounter would humble him to battle without his armor, but he eventually wins, and Okoye is eliminated from the training exercise. After this, Shuri says she has to show something to their king. They travel together, avoiding quicksand, pitfalls until they reach a waterfall. And there, they meet someone by the name of Maji Kina. He is a seer from the river tribe, and he brings the news of the water. We then go back to the Wolf Star system. The younger Yautja brother that was defeated is now thinking of the vibranium spear that cost him the battle. If he could make a helmet, body armor, and a leg out of it, he would become the ultimate predator. When he learned that his own father was maneuvering against him, he created a backup plan. He kept a ship hidden below the lake. Now they would travel to Earth in search of more vibranium. During the battle with his brother, his helmet collected the kinetic signature of vibranium, so he searched for similar frequencies. A few blips were found in New York and Central America, but the majority of it was found in Africa. It was here that he discovered an energy dome with cloaking technology, similar to the Yautja's version, but this camouflage was meant to hide a nation. The shield was stronger than the Yautja's weapons, but they were able to hack the algorithm and pass through. We then go back to the scene with Magi. He tells the Black Panther what he knows. He's had visions of human suffering, a year-long drought, a grassland fire, and more issues 1,000 miles to the east. The Black Panther plans to help by sending donations instead of sharing Wakanda's technology. And nearby, we see a Yautja. He scans their bodies and watches. The Yautja then discover the suit of the Black Panther is covered in vibranium. They see this as a trophy. 2 members are instructed to continue the survey of Wakanda to locate the source of vibranium, but the others would join him. They were going on a hunt. T'Challa would notice something is upsetting the birds. Something is wrong here. They need to get the Elder to safety. As he makes his way through the jungle, his communication with Okoye is lost. He's being hunted. He gets blasted in the back, but the armor protected him partially. But the force of the impact dulled his brain. He fell in concussed darkness as his body is swallowed by the mud in the swamp. Shuri would take control of a ship and head towards the edge of the dome. Her plan is to share Wakanda's resources with the outside world. She believes if we help others, then others would help us. Someone at the control station would then get attacked by a Yautja. They don't want interference from the outside, so they lock the dome. Shuri would notice something is wrong, so she turns the ship around. As she tries to re-enter the dome, it closes and she crashes. Everyone inside is now trapped. They are all being hunted. This area would now serve as its own hunting preserve. Okoye would lead a group outside the Burnin Zana area. That's when one member gets pulled away. They look around, but Nala has disappeared. Remains of Nala would fall and cover the others. They aim their spears up and fire electrical discharges. The body of a predator would fall down from the trees. Okoye and the others would attack it right away. But above them, other hunters are watching them and aiming their weapons. They open fire and hit someone as the others run away. Somewhere else in Wakanda, T'Challa awoke to darkness and the sound of thunder in the distance. He didn't know he was hit by several plasma shots directed at his skull, but the suit covering his body had saved him. He would soon come across the body of the enemy and see their face. He could hear someone screaming nearby. He runs over there to find her tied up. This enemy and its technology were unknown to him, but he knew they could bleed. He knew vibranium was stronger. So Black Panther cuts it to free the captive person. They could not see the enemy, but they were everywhere. Somewhere along the Wakanda border, we see the remains of a crashed ship. Shuri had survived. She remembers someone on the comms calling out for help. Then everything went quiet, and they were locked out of the perimeter shield. She would try to access the coding, but her attempts are overridden by something she doesn't recognize. Her attempts to hack into the system are noticed by the predators, so a scout is sent to investigate. The Majikina would then reach into the water to see what stories it can share with him, and all he can see is the death of Wakanda. The scout from earlier would locate Shuri. Part of the shield would open up, and the scout reaches over. He grabs Shuri and pulls her away. Back inside Wakanda, T'Challa would see the jungle suddenly move, as if it was a reflection of wind-blurred water. He recognized what he had suspected before, when he sensed a presence moving through the sky. They are facing an enemy that used some type of cloaking technology. T'Challa wanted to imprison this enemy and interrogate it. That predator then gets attacked in the water by a crocodile. Then he and the other person run away, trying to find any survivors. And above them, Yautja would listen and watch. The Black Panther had quickly disposed of a clan member, and he survived 3 plasma blasts to the head. He was more than a worthy prey, but the real prize was the vibranium armor. When this predator received a message that required his presence, he abandoned this quarry for another, at least for now. They went towards the Great Mound. After entering this structure, he discovers a vast amount of vibranium. A moment of greed took hold of him. He imagined armor, weapons, and warships. He imagined a throne. He imagined his father and brother shamed and bloodied. Predators just found a large amount of vibranium on Wakanda. The young predator imagined his body as the center of an arsenal that bristled with weapons and traveled in warships. He imagined sitting on a throne of vibranium as his brother's skull decorated his trophy wall. Meanwhile, others would continue hunting the prey within the jungles of Wakanda, but they too are hunted in return. Black Panther would take down another enemy that was focused on Okoye. They were caught unguarded before, but now they know the face of their enemy. There are many places to hunt on Earth. What else would they collect in Wakanda? The Black Panther then realizes vibranium is why they are here. The Majikuna is then eliminated, while Shuri is held by a predator that found them. She knows that the shield around Wakanda is sealed. This scene would end with Shuri battling the same predator as she tries to contact others on the channels outside of Wakanda. The next scene shows the Black Panther visiting the ancestral plane. This occurred earlier in the story when he was blasted by the Predator's shoulder cannon and his body lay in the mud. He meets his grandfather, Azuri the Wise. He tells of a time when Predators came to Wakanda in the past. They came for vibranium, and close to 500 people in Wakanda had fallen before it was over. They burned the bodies and studied their weapons. The cloaking technology would inspire the creation of the perimeter shield around Wakanda. He was trying to protect his people from all predators, and now this task falls upon his grandson. Azuri says this: "If I am certain of anything, it is this. There will be nothing but bones and ashes left of Wakanda if these predators have their way. You must stop them." Now at the Great Mound, the Black Panther would take down 2 predators, as the others would finish them off. But one of the guards was left alive. He would contact the other predators and warn them about the Black Panther. The hunting party prepares for battle. This will be a hunt like no other. Outside the border of Wakanda, Shuri defeats the predator that found her, but she feels no satisfaction in victory because she knows a larger war has already begun. But what are they? How many of them were there? And where did they come from? Shuri would remove the predator's biomask and puts it on. She discovers that it's more than just armor, it's also a computer. If she could learn how to use it, she might find a way back to Wakanda. Just then, the Falcon shows up. He was sent by Captain America to shut down a weapons dealer in Africa. He was nearby when he picked up an SOS from this area. It came from Princess Shuri. It picks up where the Black Panther, Okoye, and a few of their warriors are heading into a tunnel, which leads them into the heart of the mines, where the enemy is waiting. But instead of taking the main hallway, they go inside the maintenance hatch. They choose this path because they're hoping to surprise the predators. But even in here, they are being watched. They are spotted by some type of drone. One of the team members would shoot at it, but then triggers a mine. The lasers would cut through his body and tear him to pieces. His body is found by another member, but he too is being hunted. A predator appears behind him, armed with a large bladed weapon, ready to attack. We then go back to Princess Shuri alongside Falcon, who showed up to help her. They are outside the Wakanda perimeter shield. She would hack the technology used by the predators. Falcon would hold on to Shuri as they slip through the shield. She tells him to adjust his wings to block out infrared tracking, and then they fly away. Black Panther and his team would later find the body of Achilles, but the head was missing. He then heard Achilles' voice. It sounded hollow and disembodied, like a recording, and in an instant, they are under attack. Okoi would grip her spear, and she threw it without seeing, but only sensing, and her aim was true. The predator that took down Achille earlier would show up and jump towards the Black Panther. Their bodies would collide, and in mid-air, Panther would flip their bodies, so the predator's body would absorb the force of their fall. Another predator would show up, but the two of them would take it down, and then the leader of the predators would be seen. He removes his mask to reveal its face. This is a battle that the Black Panther must accept on his own. He borrows the spear from Okoi, removes his own mask, and it begins. The two of them battle as warriors, but in the end, Panther would stand over his enemy. The predator would not give up. It slashes at Panther's leg, which wounded him. The Yautja did not run. They simply repositioned. The leader would order his soldiers back to their ship. They had the vibranium they came for, and they would return to this battle at a later date, stronger than before. For a long time, Wakanda had flourished in isolation. They had neither offered help to the world nor asked for it, but that policy would change today. Shuri and Falcon would be the last line of defense. The Yautja ship would be seen in the sky. They approach it, and Shuri would impale the wrist blades into the side of the ship. She activates the self-destruct on the wrist gauntlet and falls back, only for Falcon to catch her. As the ship goes into space, the Yautja would send a message to his brother. It was a warning. He was coming home to win back his honor. But this time, he was in possession of God metal. And then, the ship blows up. Nothing survived the explosion except for the vibranium. The message was picked up and tracked by the Predator King and his favored son. What they found in the message would claim their full attention. God metal is what they called it. It was enough to advance their arsenal into one that would rival any in the cosmos, including Earth. The Predator story in AVP Extinction takes place on the planet LV-742. Many planets were surveyed, and your clan has chosen this one as a rich hunting ground. The alien population is growing since the arrival of humans. It's also home to a formidable beast, the legendary GROT. Your clan has petitioned the governing council of ancients, and you were granted exclusive hunting rights to this planet. With a vast amount of aliens and human warriors, they expect this to be a great hunt with many trophies to collect. A few clan members arrive early and start preparing the first hunt, as many more will be arriving soon. They would encounter a few humans in this area, but their main task for now is to collect 20 alien skulls. Larger armies of human warriors were setting up bases around the planet. Your clan remains hidden until the next hunt for human trophies, even though the skulls of weaker warriors are not highly valued. In large numbers, even the weakest of humans can be dangerous to a single clan member. Your greatest honor and respect from your clan will be from dominating the most dangerous human warriors. During the next level, your side mission would be to collect 30 human skulls. Your clan marches forward, destroying every enemy that comes before you, and your main focus will be to hunt down the warrior called the Smart Gunner, and claim 5 skulls from that type of enemy. You'll encounter other humans along the way, which put up some resistance, but they are no match for the strength of your clan. All humans before you shall fall. As your clan achieves great success and honor, the clan moves towards the most dangerous hunting grounds and into the lair of the GROT. There were chronicles of how countless clans met their end in fierce bloodsport against the GROT. Entire clans were annihilated by a single GROT, and even a pack of GROT slaughtered even the strongest of clans. Do not let your clan's defeat become part of the legend. Your mission will be interrupted as you encounter a rival predator clan. As you were given exclusive hunting rights to the planet, the other clan must be eliminated. Their numbers are many, but you fight a furious battle. You defeat the rival clan along with the leader. Your mission now is to enter the lair of this brutal creature. Slay as many as you can. The battle will be dangerous. Some clan members might not survive, but for the sake of honor and victory, complete the mission and retrieve 3 skulls of the legendary GROT. During your battle with the GROT, Marines destroyed the Cloakers and revealed the Council of Ancients' hidden base. They were watching us during our mission. They explained their covert mission. The other predators you fought against was another strong clan. They too were given exclusive hunting rights to the planet. The Ancients' plan was to lure 2 clans into battle, and only the strongest clan would survive. The superior clan would then be deemed the Ancients' successors. The losing clan would be banished. The Ancients also brought alien eggs to create a small arena to further study the clans in secret, to rate their hunting prowess, their skill, and team abilities. Now that they are unable to hide from you, the Ancients order you to the clan trials. These are formal hunts designed to showcase a clan's skill. Your mission now will only include a few members of your clan. Your optional objective is to keep all starting members alive to the end of the hunt. If you are detected, Marines would issue an alert by pressing a red button on the nearest alarm. On the 3rd alarm, the base enters Stage 3. You must avoid being detected to set off a Stage 3 alert. You must move forward in stealth and use caution as you approach the enemy. Defeat enemies with precision and swiftness. Your prize at the end is to seize the skull of the Lieutenant Commander. Your clan displayed incredible skill and teamwork during the first trial. The next trial is more difficult, more grueling, more deadly. It is the trial of bravery. If you win the trial, you shall receive the honor of the Ancients' mantle. If you lose the trial, your clan shall be banished and disgraced. During this mission, you have the option of wiping out the Marines. They will have incredible firepower and numbers, but for the sake of honor, you venture on and defeat them all. Your main objective during this trial is to enter an alien hive filled with countless aliens inside, ready to swarm you and tear you apart. This task will test your skills to the limit. Use every weapon, every strategy. Search the hive, confront the alien queen, defeat her, and claim her skull as a trophy. After you claimed the skull of the alien queen, the Ancients judge your clan as superior and to be their eventual successors. But during your last trial, the humans would capture a member of the rival clan, and it's assumed human scientists are experimenting on his body. This predator allowed himself to be captured alive and did not fight to the death. The kidnapped coward is forever disgraced. According to predator law, cowards like this must be eliminated at the hand of a predator. Their law also says we must perform traditional torture ritual for the human leader responsible in capturing this predator. It is also said in predator culture that no outsider should claim technology or weapons that is wielded by a predator, and so your other objective is to retrieve the disgraced predator's equipment. You will need to infiltrate the human facility and to locate the disgraced predator that allowed himself to be captured without fighting to the death. Your final task in this level is to find Dr. Kadinsky. He is the one responsible for this atrocity against the predator race. He is to be transported to the Ancients' ship for the retribution torture ritual. Therefore, he must be captured alive. Even though he was captured by your clan, Dr. Kadinsky conducted experiments with the captured predator. He would merge the alien life cycle with the DNA of the predator to create something impossible, a pred-alien queen. The predator bloodline has now been tainted. This beast destroys the integrity of the predator race. It is an abomination. It's even despised by the Council of Ancients. The contaminated hive must be cleansed with a ritualistic purification. The Ancient would send a sacrificial associate, the Ancient who is the keeper of the nuclear device. The side mission for this level is to complete it without using two specific units, the Hydra and the Blazers. Dr. Kadinsky created a creature that is a combination of alien and predator DNA. Your main objective is to eliminate all aliens, locate the Pred Alien Queen, destroy this atrocity. After it is defeated, retrieve the skull of this abomination and place it in the shrine. The Ancient is the one that carries the nuke. He must survive the hunt. When all aliens are defeated, then all the clan members must exit this area to a safe location. The Ancient will place the nuke in a specific spot within the hive and destroy this area. The Ancient only appears in this level, but it's also part of the ritual where it would give its own life to purify the bloodline of the predator species. The story takes place in New York City during an extremely hot summer. Aside from the heat, the city is also going through a bunch of crimes. There's been robberies, assaults, and murders. Most of the time when there's a killing, it happens fast. But this one was different. It had some time and care and even artistry put into it. We meet Detective LaPearl. The most recent event was not the usual crime. It's not related to theft, drugs, or a vigilante going after criminals. When you skin your victim, it's completely different. This crime scene also involved a robbery, in a manner of speaking. Each victim had something missing, like a jaw, a rib, and a finger. When the actual forensics team arrives, LaPearl would ask them, "If you just got here, then who was the other person I was talking to?" Turns out, that was Peter Parker in disguise. He was there to get information on what happened. As he makes his way through the city, he talks to JJ on the phone. Jonah wants news for the newspaper articles, preferably bad news, because it gets clicks and views, and Peter would ask him, "How about a murder?" But on the way back to the office, he sees a robbery in progress and decides to pursue them. Along the way, some kids would be playing on the road. He would get them off the road and is delayed a bit in following the van. When the robbers get to their hideout, they exit the vehicle. One guy unpacks the bags and says to the others, "We split the money, go our separate ways, and don't talk to each other for 2 weeks." He calls out for them, but they don't respond. He turns around to find they were slaughtered very quickly right behind him. He pulls out a firearm, starts to panic, aiming the weapon all around him. What happens next is pretty brutal. This predator reaches over, and with his hand, he rips the skin off the man's face, just like that, then plunges a large blade into the robber's back. He would then hold the skin of the man's face over his own face. This might be a sign that this predator is not the usual hunter searching for spines and skulls. No, this one is different. By the time Spider-Man shows up in this area, it's too late. He talks to Jonah on the phone and tells him things are pretty bad. They're dealing with a serial killer. The city then goes through a power outage, and we're taken to a scene in the subway train. The power's out, and people are stuck inside in the dark. Mary Jane is also in the train during this time. MJ would use the light on her phone to look out the window. It looks like someone might be outside, but it's actually the Predator. Since the power is out, they cannot post on social media, and it could take days until the power is back. So instead, they print the news in the paper and sell them on the street, just like the old days. They're calling this criminal the Skinner. Detective LaPearl would get a hold of the newspaper, and now she wants to talk to Peter Parker, because he released pictures of a crime scene without permission from the police or the victims, but Peter is already gone. Peter would then head back to MJ's apartment to check up on her, but she's not home. The final scene shows a man selling newspapers. As a few thugs try to rob him, another man appears and saves him. And this man is Craven the Hunter. He would ask the old man, what was he saying about this predator in the city? The heat wave still continues, and it got worse when they lose power throughout the entire city. Utility workers are trying to get things fixed, but it's a slow process. One of them is seen underground, and somewhere down the tunnels, he can hear something. He then finds a subway train. When he opens the door, he finds the bodies of people. Some of them are missing limbs, but their skins have been torn off as well. It's a gruesome sight. Someone appears from the shadows, asking for help, but the face is peeled off to reveal the Skinner Predator. While this man is being attacked, it's a distraction for MJ and some other woman to escape. Meanwhile, Peter Parker showed up at MJ's apartment looking for her, but she's not there. There's a knock at the door, so he goes to open it. It's Detective LaPearl. She's here to question Peter when he released pictures of her crime scene. Peter quickly shuts the door on her, and she starts thinking, is Peter part of the crime? Before she kicks the door open, Peter tells her to check the underground garage near Morton and Washington. Then he escapes out the window. As Spider-Man swings away, a Pred ship appears above him, but it's invisible. Spider-Man can sense something, but he just can't pinpoint what it is. As he swings away, he is watched in heat vision. He's hoping MJ can take care of herself, because right now he knows that something is out there, hunting and collecting. Skins, fingers, toes, skulls, ears, and eyes. These are all anatomical trophies. There is also a calling card, some type of symbol, but with no access to the internet, Peter then goes to the library. He might find something about this in some old books. Meanwhile, back in the warehouse, Kraven the Hunter shows up. He understands what happened. Whoever did this is not interested in money. They care about flesh, blood, and bone. This person took pieces from the victims, skinning them, and possibly has a den to mount these trophies. To make a trophy of a trophy hunter, that would be a real prize. He's never seen tracks like this one before. This thing is bipedal, vaguely reptilian, and maybe around 8 feet tall in height. But he noticed Spider-Man was also here, and he left behind a trap. Just then, Detective LaPearl shows up. She tries to arrest Kraven, but he fights back, and leaves her in the trap that Spider-Man left behind. If Spider-Man knows about this threat to the city, then it's not just a hunt, it's a race of who can find the trophy hunter first. Meanwhile, MJ and the other lady in the subway run into a homeless man. He tells them to be quiet, then later shows them what he found. He shows them a room full of bodies. They vary from being old and young, weak and strong, every gender, every ethnicity. It's not a trophy room of a hunter, it's a collection of cruel madness. Peter then goes back to talk to JJ at the Daily Bugle. The books he found in the library have shown him some connections between the current events and things that happened in the past. He shows JJ pictures of the Ardennes Forest of 1945, Battle of the Bulge. The bodies here belong to German and US forces. This symbol and the way these bodies are left behind, it's been going on for hundreds of years, all around the globe. Something then scares the pigeons outside the window. Peter opens the window to check it out, and we see 3 predators. They are here for the one who hunts without honor. The story picks up where Peter meets up with JJ and the power gets restored finally. Then, a pack of 3 predators has arrived in New York City. They descend along the side of the building and smash in through a window. Peter would send JJ down the elevator, then goes to change into costume to see what the noise was. These predators came here to hunt one of their own, the Yautja with no clan or code, the Yautja who disgraces them all. A battle between Spider-Man and 3 predators would occur. They toss a shuriken at him as it cuts his leg. He dodges their attacks, kicking one of them, webbing another, while still dodging again. We shift over to the rooftop of a building where 2 maintenance workers got a transformer working again. Kraven shows up, shoots an arrow at the transformer, which turns off the power again. He says, "We stay in the dark for now, New York. If news gets out what's really happening here, the Avengers might show up." So he wants this hunt all to himself. Kraven knew this would take time and patience. This hunter would target random prey in the city, which makes him much harder to track and anticipate his next move. No one is safe. Kraven starts to wonder about this hunter's vague sighting in the city. This could mean it is traveling and hiding below, not above. The scene would shift to Mary Jane, a woman she met in the subway, and a homeless man they ran into. They are below New York City in what looks like the lair of the Skinner. The three of them would go through hallways. They hear someone call out for help, but the homeless man knows it's a trap. The Skinner would use the voice of people to lure new prey towards him. The man leads them to a pit of rats and pushes them both inside, using the heat of the rats to cover them. He tells them to stay in there as long as they can, because he's coming. However, the homeless man gets caught by the Skinner and he's taken out. His last words to the two women are to stay down, stay safe. We then go back to Spider-Man versus those three predators. He realizes, even though there's only three of them, their powerful weapons makes it feel like a dozen. He webs the mask of one pred and pulls the mask off. It then charges him with its wrist blades drawn. Spider-Man would web them both by the head and smash them together, but his spider senses warn him of danger, the third predator. An explosion occurs upstairs, and an object falls down. As JJ is right below it, Detective LaPearl would push him to safety. The object that fell was a predator, as it rips out right before the two of them. The story picks up with Mary Jane and the lady she met in the subway. They exit through a manhole and are now in the streets of New York. The city is still going through a massive heat wave, but as they're trying to run away, something is right behind them. The Skinner is now topside with them. He pulls out his wrist blades, ready to attack. The Skinner is ready to strike them down, but then an explosion is heard in the back. He knows it's the plasma burner of a ship. His attention is now in that direction, so he takes off. We then see Kraven show up. He would ask the two women, "Where is the predator?" Back at the Daily Bugle, Detective LaPearl and JJ are under attack by a predator. This one is part of the group that came to hunt the Skinner, but they were also in a battle with Spider-Man. JJ actually gets a little brave, calling out to the pred and says, "Pick on someone only slightly smaller than your own size." He gets grabbed by the pred, but is easily tossed away. That same pred then gets ambushed by the Skinner, as a blade goes through his body from behind. Meanwhile, Spider-Man is busy with two other preds in the office. They are not here to hunt Spider-Man. He is just simply getting in the way. One of the preds would land a plasma shot on Spider-Man, and he goes through a window. We then go back to the Skinner. He knows he's being hunted by the others. His best chance at survival is not to engage the other preds right now. He must remain hidden in the shadows. If he destroys their ship, they will be trapped here with him, in this dark, hot maze of a city he knows so well. The Skinner is so focused on the other preds, he fails to realize there is another hunter stalking him. Kraven is here for this most dangerous game. He has hunted every predator on this planet, but never a creature like this one. They would both injure each other, covering their bladed weapons with the blood of their opponent. They stand off, face to face. Kraven would swing his blade quickly, landing a clean slice on the Skinner. The attack is quick, an instant victory. Kraven screams as he holds the head of the Skinner. The menace to New York City is over. But another sound gets his attention, the countdown of the self-destruct bomb on the Skinner's wrist gauntlet. This could destroy half of New York City. Peter shows up where Kraven is. His spider senses led him to the roof. He knows that's a bomb. He tells Kraven to cut the arm off. Peter would wrap it in the webbing and looks for a safe spot. He only has a few seconds. He makes his way to the water, dropping the arm in the right spot as the bomb explodes. Kraven always imagined his blade would be the end of Spider-Man. and his sacrifice was a worthy end. They were enemies, but this one time they worked together to save the city. Another hunter shows up behind Kraven. They duel together for a short time. The Predator would get the upper hand, holding him by the neck. If this is the end of Kraven, then let it be, at the hands of a great hunter. We then go back to JJ and Detective LaPearl. They've got no photos of the incident, and with the blackout, there's no surveillance footage. They would hear something behind them in a dark alley. As they walk toward it, they uncover the body of an injured Predator. They are then approached by an old man with a team behind him. His name is Dr. Abraham Cornelius, and he's here to recover the body of the alien. Mary Jane would be reunited with Peter by the water. He's gotten a lot of injuries, but he's alive. One of the Predators would recover the body of the Skinner, while the other one holding Kraven would release him, letting him live. The same Pred would remove his mask and grab Kraven one more time. He would mark Kraven with his blade, leaving a symbol on his forehead. This mark is the same one that was left at multiple crime scenes across the globe. It was the mark of the Skinner. Kraven has been spared. He has been branded as the ultimate killer, a blooded warrior. Kraven then chooses to go with the other Predators. He joins them on their ship as it takes off, leading him to more future hunts with other hunters. Everyone is safe, for now, and that is the end of the story, Predator versus Spider-Man. The end. Back in 2022, there's a novel called Predator: Eyes of the Demon. It contains 15 short stories. One of them is about Dutch. It takes place right after the events of the first movie. The date is September 1987. Dutch is now in a hospital of Johnson City, Tennessee. Two men in suits would enter his room, one of them with blonde hair. He would extend his hand. "Major, I'm Agent Peter Keyes. The other one is Agent Garber." Dutch was suffering from radiation sickness and was not in the mood to answer any more questions. Besides, he already told them everything, but these men wanted to know what happened in Val Verde, but Dutch did not want to relive that nightmare. It seems like the two suits were not going away, so might as well get this over with. Dutch says he lost his entire team. They were lied to. He said he cared, but Dutch knows it's just an act. Dutch says he got sick from some device the alien used. It was an explosive that he would activate to take them both out. Dutch explains what happened. They were supposed to go in, rescue 3 officials, and get out. Minimal contact. But in doing so, they blew up the jungle. They would ask about the creature. Dutch says it had lizard skin, 7 feet tall, some kind of cloaking device, armor with matching face mask, and some laser cannon tech. Agent Keyes would ask, "How did the alien get your men?" Dutch goes into detail how Hawkins was the first one, and nothing was left, just a bloody mess on the ground. Agent Keyes would walk over to a nurse and ensure that Dutch's room is locked when he's gone, to make sure he doesn't leave. Dutch now feels like nobody cares. He was lied to, sent on a mission to maybe get slaughtered, and now he's a prisoner in a hospital, but he could leave anytime he wanted. The 2 agents would come back over several days and question Dutch about what happened. Even though he was sick, they need to know what he knows. During the conversation, Keyes was trying to remain respectful towards Dutch, while Garber was getting impatient. Dutch would tell them, "It's really dangerous when you encounter one. You're going to need a lot of men and tech to capture one alive. The one that got his team is gone, but there will be others." Garber says to Dutch, "We can't wait to meet them." Keyes would also add in, "There have been others." Dutch recounts what happened with Billy and Mac. There was something in the trees, moving, stalking them. There's something out there waiting for them, and it ain't no man. Agent Keyes would say they found skin bodies and green blood. Dutch agrees. This alien would bleed green blood. Dutch would then record some tapes over time, on insurance against a government he once trusted. He would talk about what happened during his mission, The date is September 12, 1987. While he's waiting for his food to arrive, he turns on the news. The report mentions a rogue hunter going around. They found carcasses of a bear and mountain lion. The bodies were skinned and the skull and spine was removed. The incident happened in Pisgah National Forest outside Asheville, North Carolina. It's about 1 or 2 hours south from the VA hospital. He had to get out there and stop the creature before it gets anyone else, and maybe get some revenge for his men. When the nurse got back, Dutch pretended to have an outburst and made a mess with his food. She convinced him to calm down so they don't sedate him. Later on, Dutch finds a way to escape the hospital and runs off into the night. The story shifts over to the predators hunting in the national park. There's a few of them and they've got trophies. When Agent Keyes is back at the hospital, the nurse tells him how Dutch got out. She says that he knocked out an orderly that was cleaning up a mess he made. He took the man's keys and uniform and left. They would contact law enforcement looking for anyone hitchhiking, leaving a hospital, or walking around in an orderly uniform. Dutch would arrive at a diner located at Interstate 26 and County Road outside Weaverville, North Carolina. He overheard 2 local hunters talk about the bodies they found. The waitress said the feds were here early morning. They showed up in a helicopter and asking funny questions. Dutch would tell them he's only here to hunt small game like quail or rabbit, but they advise him to stay away from Mount Mitchell. Just then, a helicopter lands in the area and 3 men in suits come out. They come straight for the diner. Agent Keyes would drop a photo to the rangers and saying to them, "We're looking for this man," but the ranger sitting there said they didn't see him. They're too focused on other things in the park. A black SUV would show up with more federal agents. They were going to perform a sweep. After they left, Dutch got lucky and found a pickup with a rifle inside. The door was unlocked with the keys above the visor. He took this vehicle and went towards Mount Mitchell. He made his way up the road without being seen. At some point, he would stop and ditch the vehicle and continue on foot. He would come across multiple carcasses, and the path seems like a circular pattern. Dutch would later come across the predator fighting with a bobcat. He took aim with a rifle and fired. The shot landed on its shoulder and thigh. The creature dropped its trophy and ran towards Dutch. It fired off its plasma caster, but Dutch would continue running. A chopper in the sky would pick up the sound and head towards it. Garber spotted the major in the trees. Agent Keyes would tell Garber, "Call the men," then orders the pilot to land somewhere safe. Dutch would stop running, then scan the area with the rifle, looking for something cloaked, but the alien tackles him from behind, pushing him to the ground. Dutch reaches for his hunting knife and stabs the creature where he thinks the arms and chest seem to be. The 2 of them started rolling, fighting, and wounding each other, stabbing, punching, kicking. His body was full of pain, but Dutch would not lose again. They would crash into a pack of pines, knocking the wind out of Dutch. As they get up, Dutch calls out, "Come out and fight where I can see you." As if the creature understood, it disables the cloak and stands across Dutch. Dutch would stab the creature in the shoulder, but gets punched in the stomach and cut across his chest from the wrist blades. Meanwhile, Agent Keyes has a group of men closing in. He wants the creature and Dutch alive. As the men are getting closer, they see a ship in the sky. It fires upon them as they're moving in. Going back to Dutch, he's still fighting the predator, but as the men with rifles would show up, the creature spots the alien ship above and starts running uphill into the trees. While in the chopper, Agent Keyes would tell the pilot to follow Dutch, but Garber wants the ship for its technology. The alien craft was lowering and the creature was heading straight to it. The chopper lands, trying to pick up Dutch, but he refuses and goes after the creature. Now there were 2 aliens firing back with their shoulder cannons. The odds are against him, so Dutch goes back to the chopper. Agent Keyes would grab his hand and pulls him aboard. The alien hunter runs up the ramp of the ship and it takes off. Keyes would say to Dutch, "You made the right choice, Major." But Dutch was frustrated. He wanted the alien so bad. He wanted revenge for the men he lost. Dutch says, "Take me back. There's more of them out there. We have to stop them. Garber responded, "That's what we're here for." Keyes would then work together with Dutch. They formed the OWLF just for this purpose, to hunt down this alien creature. Dutch watches as the alien ship disappears. He lost his chance. Agent Keyes would tell Dutch, "They want us to capture one of the aliens, learn everything we can, capture its technology, learn to protect ourselves." Dutch looks at Keyes and knew he was serious. Garber would add, "We have unlimited resources. Anything we need, we can get this done, Dutch. But we need your help. Let's work together." But Dutch refused. He's done with the government. Before the chopper takes off, Dutch would jump out and says he can take care of himself. Keyes would respond, "You think about it. You'll change your mind." And Dutch says, "I don't think so." He wants to get back to Val Verde. He heard rumors there were stories about demons that make trophies of man, and he wanted to hear them for himself. Dutch also thought about his brother John, a cop in New York City. Perhaps he could go there first. He didn't see him for a long time. He had a sister too, somewhere. The last thing Dutch would say in this story is this: "It's time to hunt." So that is the end of the story called Aftermath, which takes place right after the events of the first movie, Predator. It seems to be followed by the story and audio tapes of the video game Predator Hunting Grounds. This game is called Alien vs. Predator: The Last of His Clan, released in 1993 on the Game Boy. This video covers the lore and the story of the game. The date, 2593 AD. The planet, Alpha Centauri 3, 8.6 light-years from Earth. Background, originally settled by human colonists for the purpose of mining the rich ore deposits and shipping them back to the resource-depleted Earth. Recent events, a Predator drone ship placed alien eggs onto the planet, which hatched and produced a fine crop of alien prey. The human population was eradicated in the process. A Predator hunting party then arrived to hunt the aliens, but the number of aliens was underestimated, and all the Predators were in turn wiped out. Theory: an alien queen is present, which would explain the larger than anticipated population of aliens. Mission: it is now up to you, the last of your clan, to regain the Predator's honor and your own. You're mostly going to use your wrist blades, unless you find other weapons hidden in each stage. You'll see them on the floor, just crouch down to pick them up. The smart disc is really good, but you only have one. You have to catch it when it returns, so you can use it over and over. If you miss catching it, then you lose it. Other things you can find are the laser cannon, bombs to blow up areas on the map, and the invisibility, while the smart disc and plasma cannon have their own ammo supply. Using the invisibility will drain your energy very fast. You're going to encounter face huggers, chest bursters, and adult aliens. It's mostly fairly easy. Along the way, you're going to find energy tanks on the floor. Just pick it up and it refills your energy supply. Energy is used to map out the stage, and the places you open up are saved on the map screen above. But once your energy is empty, the map screen above is wiped out, so you might get lost or forget where to go. Using the invisibility seems like you take no damage, but this will drain your energy really fast. That's why it's better to not use it unless you really have to. It's basically God mode on a timer, but since your map is really valuable, energy is better used to map out the level. As you progress through the stages, the adult aliens will only change by how much HP they have, meaning they will take more hits to go down. So this might slow your progress as you explore the stage. The smart disc and plasma cannon are really good, so use them if you find it. Each weapon you find has an icon. You'll see them on the ground in each stage. Just crouch down to pick it up. If you want to change weapons, push select button and highlight the item you want to use. You'll need to find the bombs on each stage, which you can use to break the brick walls. This lets you continue in exploring the rest of the stage. The final stage is versus the Queen Alien. She has two phases. The first one is just avoiding her claw. Then, as it pulls back, get close and attack her once or twice. Back off, then repeat. After you break her arm, she spits acid on you. She spits on a timer, so you can count down when she's about to spit, jump away, rush in and hit her, then repeat. The ending in the American version only says mission completed, and that's it. The version in Japan got a better ending, but in Japanese text. It does give you a little more info about the mission and the single pred that took down the hive. Many games have done this in the past, where each region might have extra or less content than another region, but here's the possible translation. The Predator has completely annihilated the aliens. Once more, San Narciso was shrouded in silence. The lone Predator boarded its spaceship, together with its captured trophies, leaving this planet behind. What the Predator is thinking about and what his feelings are, nobody knows. After that, no living soul ever visited San Narciso again. So either San Narciso might be a mistranslation, because the opening cutscene in the American version says the planet is called Alpha Centauri 3, unless if maybe the Japan version actually says San Narciso but in Japanese text. The final area with the Queen Alien is a bit different between the two regions. The American version has you blowing up the floor to fall down into a room to fight the Queen Alien, but the Japanese version has you walking in a straight line across the map to reach her. Also in the Japan version, if you try to walk away from her going left, she still spits acid towards you even if you're far away. The final stage also has acid falling down in the American version, while the Japan version has blocks. When you damage the Queen's arm enough, the American version shows her arm falling off the body, but in Japan, the arm is just broken. So that's it for the story of Alien vs Predator, the last of his clan on Game Boy. Thanks for watching, leave a like on the video, subscribe, I'll see you next time.
Can't be